Hello everyone, welcome to the Novice Hobbyist. So I bought a collectible Matchbox 1969 Chevy Corvette Stingray die-cast replica. Wow, is that a sentence? According to the certificate authenticity, there are only 6 models ever created in the 1:43 international collector scale. I won't be doing anything with the replica itself as I don't want to devalue it. Plus, as the channel name implies, I'm still a novice to the hobby and I don't want to damage it. Nevertheless, I will be attempting to make a nice diorama for it, as today's project is actually going to be a gift I bought for the old man. It's a little bit different from my previous videos, however, I plan to explore everything related to this hobby, from Warhammer miniatures to model cars potentially, maybe army tanks, who knows, if we get the budget for it, maybe even a 3D printer as well. But I digress. So the old boy has a 69 Stingray. It's the exact same color as well and it took me some time to find this one. His one however has been rebuilt from the ground up, alongside custom exhaust, racing suspension. Honestly, I can't even begin to tell you the details of the engine and everything else. Personally, I get lost when he starts even explaining everything. Now my initial thought was using corkscrew sheeting as I want it to be on asphalt. The texture seems like it will work perfectly for it. After doing some research though, I did decide to stick with corkscrew. However, instead I got myself a cork hot pot stand, as will also serve as a base for the diorama. I used a wire brush to add even more texture. I realized this would be a mess, so if you ever wanted to see a man wire brush cork, today ain't that day, as I did it outside off camera. And here's the result. Now the next step was to prime it in black alongside an additional coat of grey primer on top for more of an asphalt effect, somewhat of a zenithal primer. I was very pleased with the results. It's almost good enough not to even need any further details in my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Regardless of this, I decided to do some dry brushing with black and greys. I'll tell you guys a little secret. I've only once been in this car. Not because he doesn't want to take me for a drive, but because it's easily the scariest vehicle I've ever been in. It literally takes the air out of your lungs when accelerating, pinning me to the seat. Mind you, this was even before he did all the additional modifications, larger rear tires and whatnot. I've been in a few 500 plus horsepower cars, but this takes the cake. The sound of it alone, it's like you're in the belly of the beast. As you can see, I started measuring up a single lane road to have it to scale. I did about 7 centimeters or 2.75 inches for the roadway. Now for the base. I had the idea of it going through the Australian desert. I've travelled roads like this a lot throughout my life. To this day, I still find it enjoyable, even when I had to do it for work, as I mainly worked on mine sites. I used a mix of desert sand that I collected on my travels. Can't get much more authentic than that, right? I also mixed in some plaster alongside some PVA glue and finally water to mix it. I didn't measure this out, just playing it by and adding whatever's needed, including some additional brown paints. Once it was a nice thick and workable texture, I spread it out on the sides. After it was done, I left it overnight to dry. I also added a few rocks off camera, but here it is nice and dry the following day. We'll remove the tape to see how it looks. One thing I would have done different, however, by not placing the tape perfectly, it could have had some more curves for a more natural look. I decided to chip away at it with my little scriber, which conveniently dirtied up the asphalt as well, giving it more of a desert look. Now we'll tape up the sides to get the white line markers down. I didn't want it to look too perfect and to be more realistic, so just splodging down some white paint. While that dries, I decided to make some old school edge marker posts. In Australia, they are now a flexible PVC type material, but they used to be made of timber. We're going for an old school look here with a classic old school car on some old back roads, so I thought this would be more appropriate. I thought of making a kangaroo warning sign with some leftover XPS foam I had, but I believe it would have made the diorama a bit too busy considering the size of it, so I abandoned that idea, perhaps in another video one day. Now, the reveal, removing the tape. I was happy with how they came out, especially with the imperfections. If you know Australian roadworks, it is anything but perfect. Back to the edge marker posts, adding some red paint for the reflector strips that they usually have on them. After that was done, I sprayed the diorama with some iso alcohol to break down the surface tension prior to adding the PVA glue for some additional dirt to give it more of a contrast and detail. I've always liked deserts, there's just something about them for me. A lot of people will talk about rivers, forests and such. We don't have much of that where I'm from, but I definitely found beauty in the desert as well. Its simplicity, vastness, the quiet. Not to mention it covers 1/3 of the Earth's land surface. But that's just not sandscapes, I believe that includes frozen wastelands, funnily enough. If I recall correctly, I believe they base it on the amount of rainfall, but I digress. I also added in some bark from my yard and other bits and pieces for more effect, alongside a nice dead tree in the background. Now that the main landscape is done, we'll also add in the posts. Now, I almost forgot about the salt bush I was going to add in, as there is a ton of it in the desert. So while doing that, I also decided to add in some dried up tea leaves that I made for a project prior, which works great for any foliage. After leaving it to dry overnight, I shook off any loose bits that may have not been glued. My partner pointed out that perhaps I should have added more so it doesn't have a patchy look. After my disappointment in her assessment, alongside some accusations that she doesn't love me anymore, I realized that she is actually right, so back to gluing. Now that everyone in the household is happy, it was time to paint the sides black, hide away any plaster mix that came onto the side and tidy it up overall, ready for the cinematic shots. I'm sure the old man will enjoy this gift. If you enjoyed watching this video, however, let me know by clicking that like button, perhaps commenting or even subscribing. It means a lot and helps me out with the algorithm as well, especially as a new channel. Until next time, my friends, take care.